In the last few chapters, Qin Yong got sucked into a portal to an alternate universe. In exchange for the most powerful ability, he got reincarnated into an iron-skinned pupa, but soon found out that he can devour other creatures to get powerful and obtain their abilities. One day while running away from a big, mean bear, the tiny pupa found refuge in a cave where a Kylan was sealed, and you know what they say, when life gives you a defenseless, majestic beast, you eat it. Later, tiny pupa reunited with Chenemo and ended up being her spirit creature. Chenemo and the tiny pupa strutted down the mountain. Chenemo had a miraculous recovery. As they strolled along, tiny pupa chomped down on every bit of weed and grass he could find, and suddenly, he developed a new talent, tailoring. Allowed him to fully repair Chenmo's clothing. Before long, they reached the spirit beast gate, only to find it bustling with activity. People were scurrying about with all sorts of gifts for the new queen. Even though Chenmo and tiny pupa were a bit confused, they slowly approached the gate. Just as Chenmo and tiny pupa were about to enter the spirit beast gate, a guard with a face like thunder blocked their path. He demanded that they present their gift for the new queen's succession, but tiny pupa wasn't having any of it. He barked out that the real queen was standing right in front of them, and the guard's expression darkened faster than a storm cloud. Before they knew it, the guard had whipped out his spear and was pointing it straight at the duo. But just as things were getting tense, a minister appeared out of nowhere and demanded to know what was going on. One of the guards reported that someone was trying to impersonate the queen, and the minister's eyes widened in shock when he saw Chenmo's face. Without a moment's hesitation, the minister fell to his knees and bowed in respect, and the two guards followed suit by throwing their weapons away and kneeling on the ground like a pair of penitent puppies. The minister leaned in and whispered, "Psst, someone in the clan is trying to pull a Game of Thrones and steal the throne for themselves. They've got half the clan on their side already and are running the show." Chenemo and tiny pupa exchanged a look of disbelief. It was like they had stumbled into the middle of a soap opera. The minister proved his loyalty and asked the duo to follow him, guiding them deeper into the forest, but as they walked, the terrain grew more and more unfamiliar. Suddenly, with an evil grin, the minister snapped his fingers, and out of the bushes jumped a black-footed crimson fox. The fox launched a fireball, but Chenmo managed to dodge it. Before they could catch their breath, they were ambushed from behind by a trio of troublemakers, Ryukong, Ramus, and Warwick. Without missing a beat, tiny pupa sprang into action and merged onto Chenmo's arm. The dynamic duo was ready to rumble. With a flick of her wrist, Chenemo sent the three troublemakers flying, like a gust of wind blowing away a pile of leaves. But just when they thought they had won, the black-footed crimson fox pounced with a sneaky attack. Little did he know, this was a terrible idea. With a swift side step, Chenemo deflected the attack back to the crimson fox. All of this happened in seconds, leaving the minister standing there with his jaw on the ground. The minister was a bit of a stickler when it came to the queen's spirit creature. "A tiny pupa," he scoffed. "That won't do at all." Without warning, he chomped down on his finger, drawing blood and summoning a circle of mysterious power above Chenemo and tiny pupa. Bolts of red lightning shot down from the sky and hit the ground like fireworks. The force of the coercion emanating from the circle was so strong that it forcibly separated Chenemo and tiny pupa. The poor little guy was knocked out cold on the ground. The minister may have felt sorry for Chenemo, but he knew that the spirit beast gate can't function without the new queen, even if she is ruthless. Just then, a group of disciples appeared out of nowhere, wielding weapons and looking pretty darn intimidating. Chenemo and tiny pupa were outnumbered and outgunned. But before they could even think about running away, the disciples let out a mighty roar and charged toward them like a herd of angry rhinos. Chenemo didn't have time to think, she just acted on instinct. Holding the unconscious tiny pupa on its leg, she swung and slammed, knocking the disciples into the air like a game of human pinball. The esteemed minister was utterly astounded, his eyes bulging out of their sockets as he witnessed Chenmo's astonishing victory. Despite tiny pupa's unconscious state, Chenemo emerged triumphant, vanquishing all opponents with effortless grace. As the dust gradually settled, the shimmering circle above their heads slowly dissipated into thin air. As tiny pupa groggily regained consciousness, he found himself dangling upside down, his mind in a daze and his head throbbing painfully. Chenemo avoided eye contact and cautiously revealed that the tiny pupa had fallen right into the enemy's trap. He was a curious little critter with a discerning eye and a healthy dose of skepticism. But before he could finish his musings, the minister summoned forth his sacred emperor lion. This majestic beast was no ordinary feline, it was a towering, winged creature with jaws that could crush diamonds and claws sharper than a dragon's tooth. This lion was a gift from the new queen herself and was said to be the ultimate spirit creature. Little Pupa knew that he had to step up his game, so he activated his armor fusion and fused onto Chenmo's arm, ready to take on this formidable foe. The lion pounced with lightning speed, aiming straight for the duo. Its claws sliced through the air like a hot knife through butter, but Little Pupa's energy barrier held strong against the ferocious beast. The resulting shockwave was so massive that it sent bystanders flying and shattered the ground beneath their feet. The duo remained unflinching in the face of danger. With lightning speed, Chenemo spun around and grabbed onto the beast's razor-sharp claws, launching it meters away. The minister knew that direct combat would be futile, so the minister instructed the lion to unleash its secret weapon. A burst of glowing energy emerged from the lion's jaws and hurtled towards the pair. Chenemo clenched her fists, bracing herself for impact. She poured every ounce of her strength into repelling the energy blast, but the minister's smirk betrayed his confidence. He knew that this attack was unbeatable. Whomever it struck would be rendered unconscious on the spot. Seizing the opportunity, the lion charged toward the helpless duo. Little Pupa screeched in panic, urging Chenemo to dodge, but it was too late. The lion's brute force hit them head-on, sending them hurtling through the forest and decimating everything in their path. Chenemo slammed into a tree with a thunderous thud, creating a crater in the ground that even a meteorite would envy. The lion wasted no time in unleashing another powerful energy blast, but Chenemo had learned her lesson. She leaped back onto a nearby tree, narrowly avoiding the deadly attack. The duo realized that the lion was being controlled by its owner, so they made a bold move. They sprinted through the forest and got behind the minister, catching him completely off guard. Chenemo slammed the minister's head into the ground with a satisfying thud, rendering him unconscious. With the minister defeated, the duo turned their attention toward the sacred emperor lion. Chenemo sprang into action with nimble movements, leaping high into the air to dodge the lion's energy blast. She landed gracefully on the beast's back, and let loose a flurry of punches aimed squarely at its face. The mighty beast roared in agony, its massive form careening through the forest in a desperate attempt to shake off Chenemo. It darted left and right, but Chenemo held on with all her might. Suddenly, Little Pupa's sharp eyes spotted that the beast was headed straight for a dead end. Chenemo sprang into action, leaping off the lion's back just in time to watch it smash its head against the wall. The beast turned its head and let loose another energy blast from its powerful jaws, but the dynamic duo was ready for anything. With a fierce determination, Chenemo charged up all of her energy and infused it into Little Pupa. Its body radiating with intense power. In one swift motion, it delivered a crushing blow to the lion with a single punch, ending its miserable life. In a matter of moments, the minister stirred from his unconscious state, his battered body writhing in pain as he crawled towards the deafening crash. Upon closer inspection, a lifeless creature lay strewn against the walls, its body broken beyond repair. With a heavy heart, the minister knew his fate was sealed and he knelt on the ground, prepared to meet his end. Before he could even plead with Chenemo to end his suffering, the minister mustered up the strength to convey a crucial message: the future of the guild relied heavily on the succession of a new queen. Though he held no regrets about dying at the hands of Chenemo, the minister implored her to leave the spirit beast gate and never return. This news did not sit well with tiny Pupa, who was fuming with anger. However, Chenemo couldn't help but feel a tinge of sympathy for the minister. What secrets did he keep hidden away in his heart? Tiny Pupa was utterly fed up with the situation and wasn't going to take any more nonsense. Tiny Pupa disabled his fusion form and glared at the minister, ready to handle the problem himself. In the majestic grand hall of the Spirit Beast Gate, a striking woman in regal purple attire strode confidently towards the throne, radiating an air of authority and power. The people in the hall erupted in a rousing chorus, hailing the queen's ascension with thunderous applause. Qin Chuer's lips twisted into a self-satisfied smirk. This was the moment she had been plotting and scheming for what felt like an eternity. Unbeknownst to many, Qin Chuer had been collaborating closely with the Tamers Alliance, working tirelessly to secure her position as the new queen. However, some of the disciples couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that something was amiss. They suspected that the real queen had fallen victim to the traitors, and whispered amongst themselves about the true fate of the previous queen. But the person next to him gave him a stern warning to hold his tongue. Qin Chuer, sensing the unrest amongst the crowd, decided to quell any dissenting voices once and for all. With a snap of her fingers, a group of battered and bruised women was brought into the grand hall, their limbs shackled by chains. The sight of their anguished faces and beaten bodies sent a chill down everyone's spine, as they realized the true cost of crossing the new queen. Standing resolutely before the gathered masses was Tan Xiaoxiao, the esteemed minister of law and order. But as the new queen pointed a menacing finger toward the pitifully battered group, it was clear that even Tan Xiaoxiao was not immune to her wrath. With a chilling warning, the queen made it crystal clear that anyone who dared to cross her would suffer the same fate as the hapless victims before them. The crowd murmured nervously amongst themselves, a mix of fear, sympathy, and scorn etched on their faces. But then, as if out of nowhere, Tan Xiaoxiao suddenly erupted in a fiery outburst, screaming out that the whole sordid affair was a setup orchestrated by the vile queen herself. Tan Xiaoxiao boldly declared that the real queen was not dead, sending shockwaves throughout the room. However, before anyone could make sense of the explosive accusation, Queen Qin Chuer strode purposefully toward Tan Xiaoxiao and delivered a vicious slap across her face, silencing her in an instant. With a fierce glare, the queen warned Tan Xiaoxiao to keep her mouth shut. As Queen Qin Chuer whirled around to face the hapless prison guard, she railed at him for being too soft on Tan Xiaoxiao. The bold prison guard reminded Tan Xiaoxiao is the minister of law and order after all, but before the poor guard could even finish his sentence, a frigid blast of air sent a shiver down his spine. In the blink of an eye, his head was detached from his body, rolling on the ground like a discarded toy. Looking down at Tan Xiaoxiao, the queen sneered at the woman's defiance. With a cruel grin on her lips, she reached down and grabbed hold of the heavy chain that bound Tan Xiaoxiao's battered body. With a savage snarl, she began to whip the woman mercilessly, raining blow after blow down upon her. As the crowd looked on in horror, it was clear that the situation had reached a boiling point. With each savage lash of the chain, the queen's sadistic glee grew, as if feeding off the pain and suffering of her helpless victim. After a brief moment, Qin Chuer abruptly ceased her tirade and, feeling generous, offered Tan Xiaoxiao a way out of her predicament. All Tan Xiaoxiao had to do was to publicly shame the former queen and swear loyalty to her, and voila, her life would be spared. However, Tan Xiaoxiao's subordinates were utterly horrified at the sight of her battered body and pleaded with her to comply with the new queen's demands. But Tan Xiaoxiao, being the witty and tenacious woman that she is, simply smirked and refused to back down. Qin Chuer's eyes blazed with fury as Tan Xiaoxiao refused her offer, her pride wounded by the minister's defiance. The very air around her crackled with electricity, her power swelling as she unleashed a furious wave of energy as she swung the chain. Just as Tan Xiaoxiao was closing her eyes, ready to accept her fate and pledge loyalty to the one and only queen in the afterlife, the chain was deflected. And a sound like thunder broke through the room. In rushed Chenmo and tiny Pupa, determined to save the day. Seeing Chenmo's arrival, Tan Xiaoxiao felt like all of her pain went away. Tiny Pupa questioned if Chenmo knew this girl, and the memories came in like wildfire. Chenmo revealed to Tiny Pupa that Tan Xiaoxiao was just a simp. But even so, Qin Chuer had no right to harm Tan Xiaoxiao. As Qin Chuer laid eyes on Chenmo and Tiny Pupa, her mind spiraled into confusion. Had they both perished? But before she could react, the minister slithered in, draped in his ornate robe that was tied so tightly it seemed like he had swallowed a python whole. And Tan Xiao Xiao continued her shameless simping without a care in the world. The spectators who had gathered for the succession ceremony were in for a treat as they slowly backed away, keeping a safe distance while munching on popcorn and watching the drama unfold. Qin Chu could hardly contain her laughter as she sneered at the defeated duo, getting into her fierce attack stance. But just as she was about to strike, three hideous figures emerged behind her, assuring her that they had it all under control. The three ugly men who had suddenly emerged were none other than the three brothers who held the esteemed title of Supreme Elder of the Spirit Beast Gate, fourth-ranked beast tamers. Tiny Pupa, with a curious mind, piped up with a question, "What is this rank you speak of?" But the simp, with a condescending sneer, launched into an explanation nonetheless. There are 9 ranks among the beast tamers, each with 9 different stages. The higher the rank, the more potent the spirit creatures they can summon, and the more powerful their abilities. A confident look appeared in her eye as she revealed that Chen Mo was a rank 3 stage 8 beast tamer, prompting her to weep tears of pity. It was a tragedy, she thought, that her queen had contracted with such a weak spirit creature. The very thought of it made her heart quiver with sadness. Tiny Pupa was not happy when Simp called him weak. The 3 ghastly supreme elders wasted no time in summoning their spirit creatures, each more fearsome than the last. There was an ugly horse, a buck with massive antlers, and a 2-headed serpent that slithered and hissed with deadly intent. Without warning, they launched a surprise attack on the trio, catching them off guard. But Chenimo and Tiny Pupa were not ones to back down from a challenge. With fierce determination in their eyes, they fused together and prepared for battle. The Supreme Elders ordered the buck to charge at Chenimo, its massive antlers outstretching to impale the duo. But Chenimo was not so easily defeated. As she is about to push forward, she gushed forth a pile of blood, and found out that she is surrounded by a venomous fog that was one of the 2-headed serpent's abilities. As if that weren't enough, the horse suddenly sprouted blades from its hair and sent them flying toward Chenemo. Tiny Pupa sounded the alarm, but the venomous fog immobilized her. Just when all seemed lost, the simp jumped forward with a bold move, blocking all incoming attacks with her body. 날 보고 있음 음악이 baby 너를 위한 melody yeah 네가 뮤지니까 잘 들어봐 play it